What's going on, everyone? Bass here, and today is Wednesday, so that means another rendition of my Green Bay Packers 7-round mock draft. Today is version 6.0. So before we get into that, if you aren't subscribed already, I'd greatly appreciate it if you went down and subscribed below, and also like the video if you like my content. I break down news, do player highlights, and also do weekly mock drafts. So just to firstly go over some of the draft notes for this week, since obviously the Packers team changes pretty much every week in the offseason. They've re-signed Kevin King. That doesn't mean cornerback isn't still in need. I'm still going to be looking at corner in the first, second, and third round. They definitely are going to draft one for the future. It's a one-year deal for Kevin King. They do have Josh Jackson under contract, who's also in his last year, and also Kadar Holman. But other than that, really no one else. And you have Jair, and then I think they're going to draft a guy, and it's going to be much of a more smooth transition because Kevin King is there. If you want to learn more about what I think about the Kevin King situation, go and click the link up above. I talked about that and the whole situation with his contract. Still have running back a draftable position, but later rounds, just like last week, 6th, 7th round, right around there. Wide receiver is still in need. After this year, they have pretty much no wide receivers under contract. And them re-signing King also gives them a little more flexibility in case they were to draft a wide receiver in the first round. And also center. I think I should value center a little bit more because today the news came out that the Packers actually kicked tires on David Andrews, Matt Skura, and Austin Ryder. So that clearly shows they definitely want to get a center in here. I don't know if they're comfortable putting Elton Jenkins over to center. I know Lucas Patrick has played it before, so if they don't draft one, that's probably what's going to happen. And in that case, they need another guard or they'll start John Runyon. All right, so if we bring up the draft screen here, we will see the usual draft board here. There's probably some few changes from last week. I would assume J.C. Horn, after his pro day today, should climb up a bit. Absolutely ridiculous pro day. Ran a 4.39, had a 10.0 RAS ranking. Just ridiculous. He's probably going to go before 29 now just because of his pro day today. So without further ado, let's get this draft started. And as per usual, I'll pause it after about 5 picks, and that is already interesting. Wow, okay. So Trey Lance goes number 2. So Zach Wilson's still on the board. Jamar Chase, Dolphins. Sewell, the 2 tackles, Sewell and Slater at 4 and 5. All right, and then Waddle to the Eagles. Smith to the Lions. Definitely see those two as a possibility. Zach Wilson to the Panthers. I like that. Parson to the Broncos and Patrick Surtain to the Cowboys. Patrick Surtain also had a good pro day. Probably will throw him above Farley when it comes draft time. And it looks like it's already updated, I guess, as of today because J.C. Horn goes 13. Greg Newsom's still here and Farley, so it looks like Farley's dropping a little bit. Newsom took over him. Newsom had a great pro day as well. Mac Jones to the Patriots. Darisaw to the Vikings. Fields to the Niners. I like that pick. That's really good value at 12 there. As for some trade-up options, Kyle Pitts is still here. I think he ran a 4.46 40, somewhere right around there, which is ridiculous. Extreme speed there. The dude's going to be a freak. He's here at 16, surprisingly. I don't see him falling to 16 at all. I see him going top 10, if not top 12. Vera Tucker's still here. Tevin Jenkins, JOK. And we still have Stokes, Newsom, and Farley, who I'm definitely targeting here. So I think once 2 of those go, if we need to trade up, I might end up doing it. But as of right now, I think I'm going to let it ride. I don't think the Packers would trade from 29 to 16 to draft a tight end. That would be very unlike them, especially after they tendered Robert Tonyan. Kyle Pitts is an absolute athlete, and I'd love to have him on the team, but I just don't see the Packers doing that. Okay, now we're in a territory where it's like, am I wrong for not doing it? Because another 5 picks just happened, and he's still on the board with the Colts here. And the Colts have like 4 tight ends. Oh, man. Do I wait until the Titans and then see? Because Bateman went, Tevin Jenkins, Kwity Paye, JOK, and Vera Tucker here, 16 through 20. Oh, man. I'm going to go one more pick, and I know the Colts are going to end up drafting him because it's how these things work, and whatever, they'll have 5 tight ends, but wow, they didn't. Okay. I'm very tempted for the value here at 22. I mean, he's ranked 7th on the Draft Network's board. Kyle Pitts is probably one of the best athletic tight ends, like athletically, to come out since Vernon Davis. Oh, man. I want to see what it would take. Because I love Big Bob Tonyan, but, he's tendered. He's on a 1-year deal. They're not really tied to him after this year. And if they could somehow Man, if they could somehow get Kyle Pitts for cheap. I mean, giving up a 3rd round is very likely. Even a 4th round, I might do it. Wow. Even a 5th round, I don't know if that would necessarily float in real draft, but I mean, if it's gonna work on here, I'm gonna go ahead and send it and see if they accept it. Yeah, they did. I'm taking Kyle Pitts, guys. This is ridiculous. Not in any of my mocks I've been doing did I think Kyle Pitts would fall to 22. And normally I wouldn't trade up to grab a tight end, but Kyle Pitts is a freak. 6'5", 239, plays like a wide receiver. You could put him at wide receiver if you wanted to. Absolute freak. And yeah, I just checked. His 40 was 4.46. Wow. Yeah. For that value, giving up our 2nd, 5th round pick to move up 7 spots and Kyle Pitts still sitting here, I can't complain. I have to do this. I'm drafting Kyle Pitts with the first pick. I never thought I'd be saying that, but I'm doing it. And Caleb Farley finally goes at 28. I'm going to wait for the end of the round here. And Stokes goes at 30. So Aaron Robinson's still here. As for corners, Kelvin Joseph, Asante Samuel Jr., who I traded up for last draft in the 2nd round, which I could honestly potentially do again. Cosme goes at 31, Javonte Williams. Stokes, like I said, at 30. Trayvon Moehrig, who I liked, at 29. Farley fell all the way to 28. I guess he's, like I said, falling down the board a little bit. Tony at 27. So we would have been right around at 29 there. We could have got Stokes, but that's about it. We also could have got Barmore, who's fallen in this. Zaven Collins, Jalen Mayfield, who I drafted in the last mock. But I don't know about you guys, but getting Pitts at 22, which... Let me go out and say this right now. It's not going to happen. Like, Pitts is not going to fall to 22, especially after the 4.46 he just ran. It's not going to happen. But for mock draft reasons, he did. And you cannot complain with trading up to 22 for a 5th round draft choice, again, a mock, and grabbing him. I just don't see how it happened, but hey, I'm going to take it. So as of right now, only trade up options I'd be interested in would be for Zaven, Barmore, and maybe Elijah Moore, but we already got a tight end who can basically play wide receiver. Creed Humphrey's nice, could play center. Rondo Moore's still here. I think I'm going to let it ride a little bit because down the list we still have Asante Samuel, like I said. James Hudson here from Cincinnati. Elijah Molden, who's a slot corner, but the Packers can always upgrade at slot. They do have Chandon Sullivan still there, but I'm just going to let it ride a little bit. All right, Barmore's still here, and it's pick 40. I feel like the Broncos would draft him here. So, again, I'm going to try to see. I didn't expect him to be here at 40 either, so I'm just going to try to see what the Broncos want. And I know last draft I said I was going to be aggressive, but if I make this trade, I might top the last draft for aggressiveness. So, all right, so it looks like 2 4th rounds would do it. I don't really want to do that. Say if I gave this and this. I mean... possibly giving up a second of our 4th, because then we still have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, and we get Barmore. It says unlikely, but I just want to see if they'll do it. I don't want to trade next year's draft picks because I just don't feel like doing that. If I gave him a 6, it is likely. I'm going to try. I'm just going to be super aggressive and see if they take it. They don't. Okay. Maybe if I give him the 14th or 214 here. I'm going to try it. Let's see what they do. They do. Okay. This is wild because I said it enough with the Pitts that I didn't expect him to be there at 22. But I definitely didn't expect Barmore to be here also at 40 in the same draft. Barmore will upgrade the defensive line instantly. 6'5", 310. 3 technique defensive linemen. Would be an absolute monster next to Kenny Clark. Would instantly, like I said, upgrade our defensive line, our run defense, or even our pass rush. So with this pick, no question asked, I'm taking Christian Barmore out of Alabama. So I think for now, I'm done with trading. I don't want to give up all of our picks, but we still have a 3rd, a 4th, a 5th, a 6th, and a 7th, I believe. So we really only traded our compensatory picks, which, you know, isn't a bad thing to do because you get them from losing players anyway, so why not move up and grab even better players? But I'm not going to lie, I did not expect to start this mock and be sitting here with Kyle Pitts and Christian Barmore at 22 and 40. That's wild. So to move up 20 picks, the Panthers want basically a 4th round. We're swapping 6s, so it doesn't really do much there. I'm not going to accept that, I don't think. I'm not going to do that because there's no one right here that I really need right now. Melifanu I do like, but he might fall. Tyson Campbell here, Sean Wade. All right, so as it goes down, Melifanu goes there. I did want to look at him, but I couldn't advocate trading up a 3rd round in a row. I'm just going to let it roll and see what happens. 3 corners go up until our pick. Don't like that. Definitely see the Packers, drafting a corner early. There's 3, 4 right here that I can look at, so I'm most likely going to take one of these guys here. But with what fell to us, you can't blame me for taking that over a corner. I do really like Adebo here and also Benjamin St-Juste. They're outside corners. They could be, transition into potentially a starter over Kevin King throughout the year, get more snaps, and just transition to that role smoothly. Griffin and Taylor are nice. I just like Adebo and St-Juste more, so really I think it's going to be one of these for this pick. I think Paulson Adebo is more starter ready than Benjamin St-Juste and these 2 other guys, so with the 92nd pick, I'm going to take the 92nd ranked total player here in Paulson Adebo from Stanford at cornerback. So like I said, this could be a good transition guy. He can come in and he doesn't need to start day 1. Kevin King will start day 1, which, whatever. And he can transition, get his snaps, and then potentially, end up starting by the end of the year. We don't know, but definitely a good transition guy here. So I'm going to draft him. And then again, I think we're going to let it ride unless anyone just automatically stands out here. I would have liked to get a tackle earlier than this, but again, just the way it fell. Trill Williams is still here. I do like him a lot. I could have reached a little bit, but I think Adebo is more of an outside ready guy now than Trill Williams is, so that's why I went there. So the Broncos are offering their 4th round, which is 21 picks ahead for the 7th round. Last draft I did, I think it was the 49ers. That offered pretty much a similar deal. I don't see this really happening in real life, especially for just a 7th round, but I mean, if they're going to offer it to me on here, it is a mock draft. It is supposed to be fun, so I'm going to go ahead and accept that. And then we have Trey Sermon here. We still have Trill Williams, which honestly I might just go with him. We could take an edge guy. Patrick Jones out of Pittsburgh's nice. Cameron Sample out of Tulane's nice. There's a couple receivers here. As for tackle, there's not really any on the board right off the bat that are up here. But if you scroll down, you have Walker Little out of Stanford, who's a really good prospect. Probably would have been a much higher pick a couple years ago if you went to the draft or a year ago. So he's a possibility there. I believe this is our only 4th round pick. But Trill Williams sitting here, he could play pretty much anywhere on the defense. I think this would be about the 3rd time I drafted him. So it's definitely a possibility here. The Packers also met with Trill Williams, like I've mentioned in previous videos. They definitely need depth at corner. Kevin King is on that 1-year deal. Jair Alexander is on the end of his rookie deal. He'll get his 5th-year option next year. But after that, like I said, Josh Jackson, probably his last year in Green Bay if he's not cut before training camp. And then Kadar Holman's a good prospect, but you don't expect him to come in and be a full-time starter. So with this, I'm going to take cornerbacks back-to-back. I can see the Packers definitely spending 2 picks on corners. They definitely need the depth there. So with this pick, I'm taking Trill Williams out of Syracuse. So corner is definitely the weakest part on this Packers defense. So drafting 2 of these within the first 4 rounds isn't going to be a surprise if the Packers do that. Just a few years ago, they drafted corners 1 and 2 with Randall and Quentin Rollins. Oh gosh, name I haven't heard in a while. But yeah, I could definitely see that happening. Now I have to wait another 15 picks or so. And here I definitely want to look at receiver, who there's a lot sitting right here. And I also want to look at tackle. All right, with this pick, like I said, I'm looking at receiver. We're good on corner now. Safety is another idea here. Also, edge, you could also draft. There's a lot of receivers. You got Smith Marset, you got Jalen Darden, who's a slot guy. Rashad Wildgoose is a corner. Like I said, we're already good there. Adrian Ely at tackle. You also, if you go down a little bit more, you have Drake Jackson, who could definitely be a steal at center this late. That's a little bit of a reach for me. In the 5th round here, you might be able to trade up, possibly in the 5th or early 6th to maybe get him. But one guy I did a little bit more research on since the last draft, because I drafted Fehoko last draft, while Imator Bebe was still on the board. And I do like him. transfer to Illinois, 6'2", 215, developmental receiver. The Packers, like I said, have no wide receivers under contract after this year. Obviously, they're going to extend Devontae Adams, but Allen Lazard, MVS, and St. Brown are all on the last years of their deal. I think 2 out of 3 of those will probably get a contract, but definitely need to get developmental guys, and I feel like Josh Imatorbhebhe is definitely one of those guys that the Packers would look at. So in this pick, I'm taking Josh Imatorbhebhe, wide receiver out of Illinois. And then, of course, Drake Jackson goes 185. It would have been nice to kind of sneak him in there in the 6th round, but I don't see him falling that far. But even if, I would have had to trade up more, and I don't really have, I think I have 1 or 2 picks remaining. And I don't, like I said, I don't want to trade next year's draft picks. I think it's a little silly for doing a 2021 mock draft. Obviously, it happens in real life, but as of right now, I'm just not really interested in doing that. So normally I would have loved to already drafted an offensive lineman. I think that is a need for the Packers. But there's also guys that they can bring back. Lane Taylor's a guy they can bring back. I don't know if Jared Valdir is going to retire, but he's a tackle they could bring back to play, stopgap tackle for until Bakhtiari's ready if Billy Turner has to play on the left side. The Packers aren't terrible in depth on the line. They have Jake Hansen from Oregon, the center rookie last year. We don't know what we have with him. They have John Runyon, who showed promise at guard. They also have Simon Stepniak, who we have no idea about. He could either be a beast or a bust. We don't know. We'll see what happens. I think he's going to be a very interesting player to watch in training camp. He's a tackle. So it wouldn't surprise me if they don't take a tackle early, but also they definitely could. On the board here, we have Jalen Darden, who's more of that pure slot receiver. Could also return kicks, return punts. I definitely like him here. I do like Jamar Jefferson. I think he's a very good late-round steal. The Packers have a slight need at running back. I mean, they're going to be running Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, so they don't really need a big third guy, but to get a few snaps here and there. I mean, they ran 3 running backs last year with Jamal Williams still in the fold. But with this pick, I could also go Brennan James here at tackle. He's primarily a left tackle. He played at Nebraska, but if the Packers need a developmental tackle, they could definitely do that. But like I said, I'm kind of comfortable with going into it with the 3 rookies we drafted last year. We obviously drafted them for a reason, not to just sit around. The Packers think they're going to develop. John Runyon already seems like he could play starting guard. Interested to see what the other 2 do, but that's what training camp's for. So right now I'm looking at between Jamar Jefferson and Jalen Darden, I believe. I could definitely see the Packers drafting 2 wide receivers. I could definitely see them drafting another running back. But personally, I think Jalen Darden would do more for this team right now. They have 2 young running backs still. A.J. Dillon was 2nd year of his deal. Aaron Jones has got a 4-year deal, which is practically a 2-year deal, and then they decide what they want to do with him. But I don't know how much a 3rd-string running back would really do for the Packers right now. Jalen Darden might not get a crazy amount of offensive snaps, but special teams, especially kick return, the Packers were abysmal last year. I cringed every single time. I think it was Malik Taylor or whoever was back there, or Darius Shepard before he got cut, took the ball out of the end zone. I cringed every time. I wanted them to kneel it every single time. I think someone like Jalen Darden might change that. And then he also has a future to be, a very good slot receiver. I don't see him falling to the 6th round. I see Jalen Darden going like latest 5th, or mid-early 5th. So with this pick, I'm taking Jalen Darden out of North Texas. So with that, the draft is actually done. I thought we had a 7th round pick remaining, but we actually do not. I believe we used that to trade up in the 2nd round to draft Christian Barmore, which I'm completely okay with. 7th round picks, 9 times out of 10 really don't amount to anything. It's pretty much just getting a guy that you would normally get undrafted just under contract right away. So the Packers started with 10 picks, and actually I ended up with 6 picks, but that's because I traded up in the 1st and 2nd round. You had to give up 4 picks to pretty much do both of those, if not more in real life. But with the trades I made to get the people here, I am not mad at that at all. And like I said, I would have loved to get a tackle. And normally I would every draft get a tackle within the first 3-4 rounds, or even just a lineman in general. But the way the draft fell and the way I was able to trade up for these 2 players here, I cannot pass that up. Getting Kyle Pitts at 22 is ridiculous. It is not going to happen. If it does, I'll eat a hat on my channel, because it's not going to happen. Kyle Pitts is going to go top 10, top 12. He's an absolute athlete, can play wide receiver if you wanted him to. Ran a 4.46, absolute freak. And Christian Barmore is one of the better interior defensive linemen in the draft. And to get him at 40 is also ridiculous. I can't say it enough how shocked I am to be looking at 22 and 40 with Pitts and Barmore. I want to hear in your comments down below what you think of that, because Just pretty crazy there. And then we doubled down with the next 4 picks. We went Paulson Adebo, who could be a developmental outside corner. Could definitely go in potentially to start. And same with Trill Williams. They're both potential starting corners here if you need them to start. Trill Williams can play all over the defense. Adebo's primarily an outside guy. But Adebo being 6'1", 190 fits that Packers height mold. They kind of went out of that height mold to draft Jair, which I think they should do more often because look how that turned out. But generally speaking, they like their corner 6'1" and up. Trill Williams is 6'2". He's a great, like I said, a great corner. The Packers already met with him and can basically play anywhere on the defense. And then the second double down was with wide receiver Josh Imatorbhebhe, the transfer from, I believe, USC to Illinois, 6'2", 215. Just, a great prospect here in the 4th round. I believe I got him. Has the size for the Packers, 6'2", 215. They like their taller receivers. They don't tend to draft small receivers like Jalen Darden at 5'9", 170, but if they already got their big guy in Josh Imatorbhebhe, I could definitely see that happening. And then, like I said, Jalen Darden, kick returner, featured slot receiver. He could play in the spread offense. Easier kick return day one and a potential, starting slot receiver in the future. Can't say it enough. The Packers have no wide receiver under contract after this year. Devontae Adams is going to remain on the team. And like I said, I think 2 of 3 of St. Brown, MVS, and Lazard are going to get deals depending on how much they actually command. Shouldn't be a crazy amount, but definitely see the Packers potentially drafting 2 wide receivers in this draft. So that's going to about do it for today. I'm speechless on the fact that, and I know I've said it 15 times already, but to trade up to get Pitts and Barmore, never saw one of my mocks going this way. In my mind, I didn't see it. So I want to hear your comments down below. What you think of my draft? What would you grade this if the Packers traded up in the 1st, traded up in the 2nd, drafted these 2 guys, and then doubled down on corner and wide receiver? Let me know what you think. I really like this. This might be my favorite one yet in terms of value for pick. I think it definitely has the most. So just let me know down below. Give me a comment. Shoot me a comment on what you think. I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your Wednesday afternoon. And as always, go Pack Go.